All right. First thing I'm going to do is start off with a shout out. The shout out goes to Angel Ellis from Youth Run NOLA. I'm really proud of you. Thank you for running with me the whole time yesterday. I really enjoyed your company. So, we're going to review square roots again today. We're going to start off finding between what two whole numbers these square roots fall, and then we'll move on from there, getting more precise with our answers. So the first one is, what's the square root of 52? And I just want to know, between what two whole numbers does this fall? Well, the square root of 52, there's two perfect squares on each side. There's a perfect square that's a little bit smaller than 52, and that perfect square is 49. And there's a perfect square that's a little bit bigger than 52. And that perfect square is 64. So the square root of 52 is somewhere in between the square root of 49 and the square root of 64. So when I'm doing my number line, I'm going to go ahead and just do that. I know that this is the square root of 49. And the square root of 49 is also plus or minus 7, because 7 times 7 gives you 49. On this side, I have the square root of 64. And the square root of 64 is positive or negative 8, because 8 times 8 is 64, or negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. So the square root of 52 is somewhere in between the numbers 7 and 8. Now I have all these points between 7 and 8. I have 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7, 7.8, and 7.9. And I want to figure out which of these numbers to the nearest tenth is probably the best guess for the square root of 52. Well, before I try to figure out which one these is, I want to look at the top. So I have the square root of 49 and I have the square root of 64. Is 52, first thing I want to ask, is it closer to 49 or is it closer to 64? Well, it's a lot closer to 49. It's only 3 spots away from 49. But 52 and 64 are, 12 spots away. So it's a lot closer to 49 than it is to 64. So before I graph to find out what these decimals are, I should just see, where would I put 52 on this line between 49 and 64? I'd probably put it about here. If the square root of 52 is about here, then either 7.1 or 7.2 will be a fantastic guess for the square root of 52. Let's do another problem. All right, I want to know, what is the square root of 76? What is the square root of 76? Well, first thing I want to know is, between what two whole numbers does 76 fall? What perfect squares are around 76? I know there's a perfect square that's a little bigger than 76, and that is 81. And I know that there's a perfect square that's a little bit smaller than 76, and that is 64. So I'm going to go ahead and put 64 and 81 on my number line. Square root of 64 is here. The square root of 81 is all the way over here. And I want to know, where does 76 fall in between 64 and 81? Well, to go from 64 to 76, I'm going up by, there's 12 spots in between 64 and 76. And how many spots between 76 and 81? Well, that is 5 spots. So if I'm only 5 spots away from 81, but 12 spots away from 64, then I know that my square root of 76 is going to be a lot closer to 81. It's not going to be right next to 81. It's 5 spots away, but it's going to be closer. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out, where would I put this on my number line? I would probably put that right here. The square root of 76, I would put it here or here. 76 on my number line here falls somewhere between 64 and 81, but it's closer to the 81. Now I want to do the same thing and find the exact tenth. So what's the square root of 64? That is 8. What's the square root of 81? What's the square root of 81? That is 9. And I'll see 8.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. It's probably going to be somewhere between 8 and 7 tenths and 8 and 8 tenths. You have the rest of the packet to do, front and back side. Bring it up when you finish. Good luck.